All right, so before we jump into this outdoor enclosure tour, I want to tell you guys that this weekend I will be in Tinley. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, NARBC Tinley Reptile Show. I will be there at Sacred Geckos and Exotics booth. I'm going to have some amazing tegus with me. You guys come and check them out. Also, if you can't make it there, we are having a sale on our website. Use code FALL10 for 10% off. Free shipping on all tegus. We have some incredible tegus posted on there right now, so go check it out. And if not, I might meet some of you guys in person this weekend. I'm so excited about that. All right, let's head outside and I'm gonna show you all of our outdoor enclosures. All right, the first enclosures that we're gonna look at are these bad boys right here. And let me tell you a couple things I like about them and then something I really don't like about them. But one thing that I like is that they're not connected to each other, so I could move them around, and I have moved them. These started off in a little tiny backyard in the city, and we brought them all the way out here, and I've moved them around a few times, and they've held out. These are also 8 years old. We're gonna start at the oldest and work our way to enclosures that were just built. So these are the oldest ones here, the original tegu enclosures that we have. Another thing that I like is that they cost at the time about $200 to make. They're probably closer to $300 now. Another thing that's really nice about them, they get great airflow. I mean, being wire mesh all the way around, they get fantastic airflow. They get great sunlight. That's why I built them this way, is because my yard at the time was really shaded, and this part of the yard is shaded by pine trees. And so the wire mesh lets the sun get in from any angle because it's not a solid wall. So that's another reason why they work great. But that wire mesh, one mistake I made is I just got this regular wire mesh, and really what you want to get is PVC coated wire mesh. That way when they're rubbing against it, they're not getting cut up. So I've had to specifically select tegus to go in these enclosures that don't rub against the metal. So, but some of them will rub their face raw if you let them. So that's the main thing I don't like about these enclosures. And if I ever built them like this again, I would definitely use the PVC coated hardware cloth. So, all right, but that's enough of those. Okay, up next are these two enclosures right here. I built them early on. I copied GIS Herps, so you guys check them out. That is where I got this idea from. I saw him post pictures of his and I kind of rebuilt it, did the same thing. Now, if you guys have watched the channel, you'll know that these are what I call the Arboreal tegu enclosures, where we have an elevated platform and we have a log here for them to climb up on. And 8 years old and they're still going strong. One mistake I made was using this 2x4 fencing, and I had to later come back through and double it up to make it a smaller opening there. But other than that, these things are bulletproof. I'm sure they'll last another 10 years. Now, compared to the last ones we looked at, these are going to cost at least, about double that. These are about $500 for each enclosure instead of 2 to 3, and these actually might be about $600 now. What I really like about them, the main advantage, is the fact that you can just walk in. Okay, like it's so much easier to hang out with your tegu, to maintenance them. All of that stuff is just so much better whenever you can walk into the enclosure. So this is still one of my favorite tegu enclosures that we have, but it's not my number one favorite. We're gonna look at that pretty soon here. Next up are this massive enclosure right here. Believe it or not, this is actually one enclosure divided into 4. So, and that's one of the things that I did differently with the next ones I'm going to show you is this one, the downside of it is that it's just too big. Okay, there was once upon a time I wanted to move this enclosure, and I think the only way to move it is to take it apart. And so it hasn't moved, it's still here. And this is where I house our black and whites, because there's 4 enclosures. I've got 4 black and whites, and this is kind of where I keep them. Yeah, and the thing I don't like about them being so big, that's actually kind of what I like about them too, because whenever it was actually time to build these enclosures, this was like a few day build, because I just used 16-foot boards in the front and 8-foot boards for all the dividers. Everything went together really quickly and easily. But like I said, it is a little bit too big. So the last enclosures and these ones are about 3 to 4 years old. So after I built those, I built these. I did it a very similar way, except I built it in 2s instead of 4s. That way if I ever needed to move it, I could move it a little easier. And then something else I did was did the sliding lids instead of the lids that you have to lift up, because it's too long. I don't like that. With these enclosures, these were the first ones I did with the black PVC wire. What I love about that is, one, you can see through it easier. So I can see Vanessa basking right there easier. My eyes focus on her easier than they would if it was just the non-PVC coated stuff, the silver, the regular galvanized hardware cloth. So this is my first time doing that. That made a huge difference. You'll see in enclosures that we're going to look at soon also have that feature. But one thing in this area of the property is it's kind of more shaded over here, and so I kept the back hardware cloth as well. I let the pine needles fall on there throughout the year to add more shade, but I can also take those off at different times of the year to let the sun penetrate. So that's some different things that you can think about, what type of roof you want in the back. And then I do have a roof actually. So something I had to do later is add a roof onto each hide. And I'll often see them climbing up on their roof and basking where they wouldn't be able to if there was a solid roof on there. All the other enclosures that we're looking at all have solid roofs on the back, but if you're in somewhere where there's heavy shade, that's an option that you could do. It's weird to walk through here and not see anybody out, but it's just, today's October 1st while we're filming this, and it's just that time of year where tegus are not coming out as often. They're basking less each day, and they're eating less, and they're preparing their bodies to go into brumation. But up next, these enclosures are probably my favorite enclosures, and they are dog kennels that have been modified to work well with the tegus. But believe it or not, there's going to be some things that I love about these enclosures, and there's going to be some things that are not so great. Okay, so I figured we might as well go inside of one of them so you guys can get an idea, because I mean, one, that's the beauty of these enclosures. Similar to the wooden ones that I built myself, these ones you can walk right into them. They are 5 by 10, and when you're building these, you can easily buy more panels and make it bigger if you want. So we are standing in someone's enclosure that you guys love. This is Plague, and this is what we use this row of enclosures for, is for our big males. These enclosures are larger. A lot of these males that I have are much, much larger than the females. So I like to keep animals like Plague, Crime Scene, our Anery, Mako, all these males that we have. This is our male row. I keep all the males in these big enclosures. The blues I'll keep in the enclosures I'm going to show you next, or even some of the other ones. But for sure, these bigger males, I like to keep them in these nice big enclosures. So some things I like about this enclosure, well, one, because it's a dog kennel, it's all metal. So this thing, you don't have to worry about it rotting or anything like that. Like these enclosures will last a very, very long time. Now the downside to these enclosures would be the cost. So these enclosures bought brand new. So if you were to go out, you wanted to do a 5 by 10 for your tegu, I would expect for it to cost you about $1,000 for each enclosure. So as you can see, depending on what you want, the price goes up. Now, for a large outdoor reptile enclosure that lasts forever, a big 5 by 10 enclosure, $1,000, it's not crazy. Like, that can definitely be done. Yeah, when you only have a couple tegus, or even a small group of 5 or 10, setting up something like this is not crazy. This really does make their care easier. It makes owning them more enjoyable whenever you can actually just like get in, sit in the enclosure, stand in the enclosure, plant trees in the enclosure. We have trees growing in some of these enclosures. Like, that is so cool. It's very easy to add lots of enrichment in here for them. And the fact that it's just all metal makes it, I mean, just the fact that it'll last forever, and you can put all types of things in these enclosures, not just tegus. Okay, so some of you guys might be more familiar with the enclosure I'm standing in now because we did a series on this, on how to build it, everything, the whole process of building this enclosure. So I wanted to give you guys an update on how it's held up the first season of using it. We did run into some problems that we had to solve, but overall I'll just give a quick rundown of these enclosures. They're 8x4 each one. When I want to get in them and actually service them or collect eggs or whatever I need to do, I take the top completely out, which gives me more room. These tops slide. I really like that about them, and they lock into place and can't be moved by the tegus. That's really nice. One thing I did with these enclosures that is one of my favorite things I did is I built the hides into the enclosures, every single one of them. Like, take a look. All of them have a hide that's built in. The lid is on a hinge, so it just makes it easy to check on them. And it's also, a good hide is important when you're keeping reptiles outside so that they can be out of the elements, out of the sun. They can have an area to cool off. It's just really important. And then also a nice area to build their nests and lay their eggs. So that's what I did differently here. We also built this in a sunny part of the yard, so that way we have the metal roof on here, and then they also have their hide. So they've got double layers of shade if they want it. These enclosures have worked out so well, but I'm going to show you something that I had to do later. We had to add some additional bracing because once the weather got really hot and that sun was just shining on this wood, what happened is it wanted to warp because we used 16-foot boards. So some of them started warping, but I was able to use the tractor and kind of push it all into place and then attach these plates, add lots of screws, and then these big bolts going down the sides. So if I were to build this enclosure again, I would have more of these supports to hold it all together, and I would have done that right from the start. Check out this boy right here. And just a reminder, like I said at the beginning of the video, we have a sale on our website, fall 10% off. We have 2 clutches from this guy, albinos and 100% hets. Just an absolute stunner, great personality, and so white. But yes, like I said, we have lots of albinos on the site. We produce more than we have before, and like higher quality than we ever have before. I'm blown away every time I go in there. But that's because they've got parents like these. This dude is amazing. So put him back in here. But like I was saying, we added some supports to the corners of the enclosures that really helped, stopping all that warping. But other than that, we've had no warping with the tops. Everything slides easily and is working super well. Nothing has escaped. These things are completely escape proof, which is the most important thing when it comes to keeping tegus outdoors. Your enclosures have to be really, really secure, and everything has proven to be top-notch when it comes to the security. Now, opposite from the first enclosures I showed you, those ones had the wire mesh sides to allow sun to come in. Well, these enclosures are in a sunnier part of the yard, and so they've got the solid wood sides, and that creates more shade in their enclosures. When you're in the sun, shade is your friend. Okay, so keep those things in mind when you're choosing what type of outdoor enclosure you want to build. Look at the area that you plan on building them in and build an enclosure that fits well there. Okay, so even here on this property, I have things strategically placed and where I chose to build it because of how it's built and what type of sunlight it gets. Okay, so that's something to think about whenever you're building outdoor enclosures. Check out this boy, just walking by the enclosures. This is someone who I really haven't even shown on the channel. Do those colors pick up? Do you guys see that blue? I don't know if you see it because it can be elusive when it comes to catching it on camera, but this guy is so blue right now. I mean, these blue tegus, I fall in love more and more every day. Something about that blue coloring is just incredible. It's what everybody wants in a blue tegu, and we have them. We definitely have them because of all that work Hector did. And I mean, I just can't believe animals like this. I have a bunch of these, and they produce some incredible babies. So you guys check out the website get you a true blue tegu. We got them right now, but look at that. Absolutely stunning. I love the size of the blue tegus too. Such a big difference between them and Plague, who we were looking at earlier. I mean, drastic. One of them weighs, you know, probably 15 plus pounds and the other one weighs 4 pounds. So it's a big difference, but let's come around. Check out this beautiful female, another one that just caught my eye while I'm walking by. Beautiful blues on her if they're picking up. Stunning, stunning girl. But if you guys are gonna be in Tinley, let me know down in the comments. So let me know if you're gonna be in Tinley. Also, remember, check out our site if you're interested in a tegu. Can't wait to meet some of you guys. I'll see you this weekend. And to the rest of y'all, see you in the next video. Peace out. Thanks for joining us in today's video.